This is what's underneath my stack down there, and this is a way I like to go about starting a stack or engineering a stack, getting a good foundation under it. What I typically do is the hardest part is leveling up these two beams. So I find where my high side is, which I thought was this guy, set that corner, basically put a level on this, pick up this until I get it to level, take my measurement for what this block is going to be, and these blocks are just cutoffs of these guys, so it is end grain there. Put that on there, get this one leveled and start putting my bearings on. Typically, if you see very well-run sawmills, they're going to put these stickers. They're going to get these stickers 12 to 18 inches apart. If you start stacking lumber, you will find out very quickly you don't have enough of these if you had all of these in the world. You just never have enough stickers. I've made fun of constantly because I'm up in the shop, and if there's a strip of wood, I'll make a sticker out of it. I'm just always trying to make more stickers. You never have enough. So the way we have this stack today, we have about 20 inches between stickers. I've gone 24. I've gone up to 30, but then you get more kind of sagging between your stickers. So we're going to start with our longest logs first. I'm to the point I have my specific lengths and I have my piles and they go straight to the pile. You might end up having stuff all different lengths. So our first stuff is 8 feet long, so that's why we need the 6 bearings. And you might notice these two are a little bit closer. After we get done with those 2 first logs, then it drops down to about 82 inches, and that's what then these 5 are spaced for. So our first stack is going to go all the way to here. We're going to get several layers, and then we're going to drop that and move down. Our last logs are, I think we got a 5 and a 6.5. We'll have to play with that. Then it drops down to just these guys. You can weave in, like if you had 1 short board or 2, you could weave it in somewhere in the middle, but you want to kind of be a little bit neurotic about keeping everything. The more uniform you can be, the better results you're going to have in the long run. My stickers, I'll pass this around. Don't poke an eye out. I'm just cutting white oak, mostly for my stickers. You typically want to get a hardwood, and I've had okay luck with red oak, but you get a little bit more staining than you do with the white oak. So, yes, I have a whole pile of white oak stickers. It sounds expensive, but wood grows on trees. Another thing I'll do, this is a laminated sticker, where if I have old stickers that have gone bad, I can start laminating them together or taking thinner pieces of wood and stacking them together. And I've had really good luck with that because I glue that up with Titebond 3, which is an outdoor wood. And once you get those together, it's kind of like plywood. It no longer acts like wood where it wants to bow and crack and even soak up moisture. It's a lot stronger sticker. So I have a few stickers today we did out of maple, just because I was trying to come up with a few more. A lot of times what you're going to do is take a stack apart and then put a new stack in, but I had to come up with new stickers today. When you cut a board, part of how it warps as well, you've never seen a warped board before, have you? They don't exist. What's going on is, the tree has annual growth rings, so it's putting on a little bit more weight every year. And when you cut that into a board, those round growth rings try to lay flat, if that makes sense. So when I am stacking, I try to put the inside of the tree up. I know these boards are going to cup, so what I want to do is I want to get them in the orientation, so if they're going to cup like this, because if I put pressure right down in the middle, they're going to lay flat. If they cup like this, I have a harder time putting pressure on the corners and getting them to push down. So yeah, let's bring that one over, and can I get this end over on this side so they can see? Hopefully this is a little thicker on that end, isn't it? So what were you guys doing? Okay, so first layer, we don't want that one in there. What we're going to have to do is take them back to the mill, reset it on one, and cut it again. But so I'm looking at the end grain here, and so this is more of a flat sawn board. Over here you have some rift, here you have some rift. But what I'm trying to do, because these right in here, this is where it's going to cup on me. What these are going to try to do is they're going to try to lay flat. And when they lay flat, they're going to bring these corners up. So again, I want to put that inside of the tree, which should be there if I'm thinking about this right. Yeah, I want to bring the inside of the tree up because that'll make this board cup like that. I get weight on it through the stickers, and I can press on it right there. Also, this board, I think this was right off this, wasn't it? So that it's not quite from the middle of the tree because the tree was crooked. It's not quite the outside of the tree, so this is kind of one of those, I'm in between. What I'd probably do on this first layer, we don't want this guy. He needs to get trimmed up, so you can get rid of that. I kind of like this. He's going to quit on me too. So what I'd probably do is get 2 good outside boards. Give me 2 good outside boards. And put this guy in the middle. What I typically do is, if the numbers work right, I can pack them right close. At minimum, what I want to do is get these 2 outsides flush with the outside and then just let the middle do what it is. If it is tight all the way across, that's where the mice will live. This at least gives them a place to come down. So it's the width of your stack and then what you cut your boards to. So if I cut these to 10-inch, I could just barely squeeze 4 across and maximize it. And that's what usually gets you, is that actually kind of is a good point. If I'm wasting space here and I have a finite number of stickers and I have a finite height of how high I can take this, you're losing capacity here. You could weave in, if you had a 4-inch board, you could weave that in right there. But we aren't there quite yet. These aren't the perfect examples, but this gets me started. And you can kind of see this stuff wiggles around until you get some weight on it. What I'd want to do next is get this cleaned off. You really don't want sawdust where your sticker hits, but try to get these stickers perfectly spaced right on these, get the next layer on without disturbing it, and just work my way up. And then you wait. It's like a savings account. You just wait. I want to show you what we cut up last year and talk a little bit about how I manufactured that stack. The rest of the stack we cut up with the wood miser last year. And if you look at the bottom, my bottom are wide boards of walnut. And I want to put my good stuff at the bottom because the more weight I have on that, the better chance I'll have to keep it flat, and especially wider boards. You may notice that a lot of these wider boards have cracks in them, and that's because they've been forced to sit flat, if that makes sense. The nice thing about it, though, I of course haven't pulled this apart. A lot of times those cracks will stop at the first sticker. And the stickers are the little sticks that go in here to separate the boards so you can get air circulation. So usually it cracks at that first sticker or a little bit further in. So the further out towards the end you can get your stickers, the better. And you'll notice I have different thicknesses of wood mixed within the pile. A lot of it was I kind of graded it as I went. So I thought, okay, here's my really good stuff, here's my next good stuff, and it gets I care a little bit less about it as it goes up, which means the stuff that you're always after is at the bottom of the pile. The big thing that I'd say, besides kind of layering it, is you want to keep your cuts together. And what I mean by that is if I have a flat sawn board, like the first boards out of this log right here would be considered flat sawn because the grain of the wood is not parallel to the surface of the board, but you have a little bit of a crown there. Those are the most common boards that you're going to see. Then you get into stuff that's quarter sawn. And probably my best example, if you wanted to look at end grain for quarter sawn, would actually be this guy, which is more rift than quarter, but the grain is running up and down on that. So for a flat sawn board, it's actually going to shrink more in width than it is in thickness. With a quarter sawn board, because the grain is the opposite direction, it's going to shrink more in thickness than it is in width. So if I start mixing in quarter sawn with flat sawn stock in this pile, I'm going to have places where you might have a quarter sawn board shrink down and you could grab that board and slide it right out on the end. So it has no support in there, it's just moving around. So that's part of what I'm doing too in these layers is I'm picking out enough flat sawn boards that'll get me 3 feet wide, enough rift sawn boards that'll get me 3 feet wide, et cetera, et cetera. Usually within a row, I try to keep the same species of wood. Sometimes it doesn't work out, so you have to throw in a random. So up here, this started getting a little bit random. And you can see these boards up here, like this one, because there's not as much weight on it, started cupping a little bit more than the stuff that's being pushed flat down there. So if you look at the side of the stack, you're trying to keep the stickers all straight all the way down so you're distributing weight evenly. And just cutting lumber, I find that I go through a lot of 8/4 stock and thicker faster than you go through 1-inch boards. And if you think about it, if you run out of 1-inch boards, you can get 1-inch boards almost anywhere. But you get 2-inch boards, those are a little harder to come by. 3-inch boards are impossible to come by. And 4-inch, you're just going to basically get little turning blanks at that point. So if you're doing this at home, I'd definitely encourage you to cut some thicker stuff. And the beauty with the thicker stuff not only is it gives you more options for building, but if you run out of whatever you need for a project, you can always resaw that thicker stock into something else. You'd be amazed at where you can dry lumber. I typically just try to get someplace with a roof over it. Even if you're outside and don't have a roof over it, you could put a piece of plywood or tin or build basically a shed roof that just drops right on top of your pile. Another trick I've seen outside is they'll use screen or mesh or even landscape fabric and go around the pile to kind of keep stuff from going in. They say a rule of thumb is for every inch of thickness, you need a year to dry the stuff. I've had stuff dry in as little as 3 months if the weather conditions are right. And what I mean by dry is get as much moisture out of the board as you're going to get in that environment. So even with this stuff, we have to bring it into the building to then get it down to the 6 to 8% that we need to make furniture out of, if you would. And I've had situations where I've set up a pile in a building that I know has great air movement, and the thing starts molding on me. So if you've never done this before, one thing you'll want to check right off the bat after even a few weeks, a couple months, is go in and look at the pile and see if you have any mold going. A lot of times it'll start around the stickers, and what'll happen is first thing you'll get is called sticker stain, where you'll get stripes across your boards wherever your stickers were because they have moisture trapped in it. And as far as checking moisture, I forgot to bring my moisture meter. I have 2 kinds. One is a pinned and one is a pinless. I keep the pinless in the shop because by the time it gets to the shop, the boards are exposed and I can put it on the face. With how the pinless meter reads, if you're trying to read the side of a board or even the end of a board, it doesn't give you the best reading possible. A pinned meter, when you're in a pile like this, is great because you can actually go in and jab it in the wood and read the edge of a board more accurately. The pinless ones really like smooth wood, and they like to be in full contact to get a good number. But that's how for years you kind of guesstimate and you go, it feels dry, but after you get a moisture meter, you can't go back. It's really nice just to know exactly what you're dealing with before you start building.